Then one day she coming in there talking about some yeah, I broke my door in half and I had to pull my gun out on my kids and this and that. Well, you know, telling us that like the fuck you telling us you pulled a gun out on your kids for? You sound like a fucking psychopath. That's what I wanted to tell her. She was talking about some she blacked out. I'm like, yeah, you must have had blacked out if you pulled the gun out on your kids. Like, you know, like I'm like, what the fuck you telling me this for? Like to think she's like trying to make it seem like that she big dog or some shit. Give a fuck about you telling me about you pulling the gun out on a kid. I don't fucking like that shit doesn't scare me. You know what I mean? That shit doesn't scare me. If she thought she was trying to intimidate me, that shit didn't intimidate me at all. I don't give a fuck about her telling me about what the fuck she did. You know, and maybe that's why they always fighting her, to defend themselves. They probably felt like their life was threatened. The fuck out of here with that shit. I'm just sitting at this park right now. I wanted to I had to talk to my neighbor Wayne again and like clear up everything with him, because how I said how like he always like he always like look at me a certain way or something, and I told him that like I don't want to have sex. I told him that. So it's like, you know, sometimes he would give me something to eat or something if I didn't make anyone on Instacart. I get that, but I told him like I don't want him thinking that that I owe him that just because he do that for me. Sometimes I want him to think that I owe him sex. So now, like, after I told him that, it's like he's been crying and crying and telling me he think I use him, dismissing everything that I do for him and did for him, dismissing the fact that he had this condition that he'd been going through for a long time and nobody can help him but me. I helped him get through it, and I cook, and you know, I don't have a lot of money, but I still make money at work, but you know, I don't have a car right now. I'm still working to get in a car, and he feels like I owe him sex, and now he's mad and crying and trying to make me feel guilty. I need to just calm down. I'm gonna be okay. But I should have known. I'm playing my peaceful music so I don't have to listen to you doing this, and you're interrupting my music call on my phone. Please leave me alone. You told me you never ignored me. Stop fucking with me! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Please! No! Leave me alone! Please! Please leave me alone! I don't want to have sex with you! I don't want to have sex! So stop! I already talked to myself. I don't want to have sex with you! Okay! Thank you! I got sent home early yesterday. I got sent home early today by the same person. I'm telling you, she's a bully. This shit isn't funny. She needs to understand that just because she's a mother and got children doesn't mean that she can come in this store, you know, disrespecting people, talking to them like everybody's beneath her. She has no respect. And it isn't funny at all. Like, seriously, man, I got shit I gotta take care of. And she keeps sending me home early. It's not funny. She's playing games. And then all day, throughout the day, she keeps saying her little racial shit. And then throughout the day, she keeps on like putting negative energy in the air, talking about people, gossiping about people. It's not funny, man. That shit gonna have to stop. She's a bully. I'm telling you. She's a bully. She brings a lot of negative energy in there. she always panic when it's a lot going on, and then she try to manipulate that and make it seem like we ain't doing something right, but we are working really hard and doing great. It's just the fact that she panicked, and I caught her a few times making a mistake, and she tried to hurry up and play it off. You know, nobody's perfect. It's fucking McDonald's. It happens. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, somebody might get confused. So fuck, it gets busy, yeah. But she needs to stop playing like she don't be making mistakes. I be catching her. So all that animosity and shit that she keep putting in the air and stuff, then trying to tell me I'm always snapping on people. No, that's false. No, I don't snap on people. I don't go in there doing that. I tell her, no, I make peace. That's what I'm doing. I've been creating peace. So all that negative energy that she's bringing in there and trying to manipulate it, no, that's going to stop. All that negative shit she's saying about, you know, her personal life, all of that. No, she's bringing all of that in there and then playing games saying she want to take her belt off and beat somebody. Y'all act like my kids in here. No, we ain't your kids. Respect us. Stop talking to us like that. That shit is crazy. I'm telling you. But to get sent home 2 days in a row, man, and I came in on my off day to make up my time, and she still sends me home early, it's not funny. Somebody will have to do something about that. It's not funny. It's not fair. It isn't funny at all. So, you know, she could keep being a bully if she wants to, but that shit is going to catch up to her. Because it ain't funny at all. It ain't.
I wanted to address this situation pertaining to the video before this one. And there's a lot of point of views going around. I not too long did a video about opposing perceptions, you know, different point of views and everything. What I've noticed is that people get themselves emotionally involved in the act itself instead of doing research on the possibilities in which led up to those type of situations, to where it led to a very unfortunate situation for both of the women. I'm just going to go right into it. Now, the reason why I'm not going to mention their names is because what I would like to do is to make this solely a humanitarian issue in terms of how we treat one another and how we lack compassion for one another and our unwillingness to communicate and reason together because of the lack of compassion. I'm talking about a humanitarian thing. I'm talking about the human family. So sometimes whenever you mention names and everything, that causes divisiveness, you know, and sometimes you make it personal on a whole nother divisive type perception because of them certain people agreeing with what the young lady did to her manager, and you have people out here saying that the manager deserved it because the manager was harassing her and all of that, and so the manager was a victim or the manager was a bully or whatever the case may be. And all of those things are understandable, but two people lost their lives. Two women negated and discarded the sisterhood that supposedly had been going on in these days and time. And they just forgot all about that. And they went against one another. And this unfortunate act happened to where actually they both lost their life. One is deceased and one lost her life because she's going to be in prison for the rest of her days. So they both they both lost their lives. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So what you're dealing with is two women who were both suffering in their lives. You had a mother at home. She's struggling, and therefore she's suffering to take care of her 6 kids. Now, it's easy for people to say, well, where are the fathers at? Fine. If that's how you want to look at it, fine. Do a video about it. But I'm not concerned about where the father is. And I don't really care where he is or where he is. Whether he's being irresponsible or he could be deceased. But that's not the issue. The issue is you have a mother who was a manager at a McDonald's institution who was suffering and under a lot of strain because she had to work in order for her to take care of her 6 kids. Then you had a young lady who is an eccentric. She's different. Okay? However, they're both working up under the same institution and they're both trying to survive. So you have a young lady who is being sexually harassed by her landlord, and she's under tremendous pressure and she's under tremendous strain trying to maintain her self-control. You have a mother who is working hard every day, taking care of her 6 children, who was under so much pressure and strain. According to the young lady, this woman who was a mother of 6 developed some type of mental illness because she's coming to work and she's talking about kicking her kid's door in and she's pulling her gun on her 6 kids. Now, whether this is true or not, this is what was said. Okay? However, when you go to work and you tell people who are strangers things like this, you have developed a mental illness. And then you have a young lady who is being sexually harassed by her landlord, who's trying to keep herself together and up on top of being an eccentric because of the pressure that she's under and the strain that she's under, not only by her landlord, but her boss at work who's cut her hours in half and keeps sending her home. And so now she has to worry about bills. And therefore, she's not going to be able to accumulate enough funds in order to satisfy her landlord, who is on a daily basis sexually harassing her and demanding sex from her. Now, with all of that, she is developing her status of mental illness because she is suffering. So you have 2 women who are suffering tremendously. And so they're in the same environment. They're in the very same environment. And they're acting out. They're both acting out. And so you have a manager who has obviously something against people who are somewhat different. And so you have a young lady who is, like I said, an eccentric, which means a person who the general public would perceive as kind of odd, strange. You know how our community is. If you're not on the same bandwagon with everyone else in terms of what the culture is doing um, in lines of the current trend, then you're different. Because I've been suffering that all of my life. That's why I left the Black community be. But that's a whole different subject. So don't even bother inviting me to your barbecues because I'm not coming. But the whole thing is, you have a young lady who has been rejected. Where is her parents? Where's her father? Black man, you getting it next. However, you have two women like this who have no compassion for one another. Obviously, the young lady was trying to deal with it. She said she was trying to communicate with her. So she had enough compassion for the will to try to communicate and to connect with this woman, for her to be able to maintain a good working relationship, that she may be able to maintain employment. However, the woman who's under tremendous pressure trying to take care of her 6 kids, which also implies, I don't know if her 6 kids were by the same guy or multiple people, but that's also none of my business, and it's none of your business. The whole thing is, obviously none of those fathers were in her life, and that's one of the reasons why she had to work so hard in order to take care of her 6 kids. So yes, Black man, you are at fault with this as well, on both sides. So I'm looking at a whole lot of Black men, they have the nerve to point the finger at both of these women. However, I'm looking at the comments and I don't see any men down there asking about, where are the fathers? Where are the men in these scenarios? Now, this is according to what I've seen. Now, there may be some posts out there to where you have men, as myself, asking where the fathers are. I'm not saying that they don't exist. However, according to the language of the young lady and the language of the woman, according to the young lady, these fathers are nowhere to be seen, because these fathers are nowhere around. And so you have a young lady who has been left in the position of to be vulnerable to the sexual advantages of her landlord, because this woman keeps cutting her hours, and this is putting her in the position to where she has to come in contact with her landlord more than she desires. And because she's trying to maintain a place to live, she's trying to do everything that she can without losing her self-respect in order to maintain a place to live. So you have 2 women who are suffering. So they're both ticking time bombs. So sometimes when you're suffering and you get to the point to where you don't want to communicate between one another anymore, and you pretty much put each other in a state of desolation, or you might as well say like isolation, to try to deal with your issues. But at the same time, the reason why both of your issues are going to eventually clash is because you both have refused to come together and reason together so that you can resolve and heal the situation. So this back and forth that's going on, you're taking sides on 2 women who are suffering, instead of looking at what actually is happening to these 2 women, because they lack compassion and the will to communicate anymore. And so they're both not communicating with one another. And then the weaker one snaps because she's under so much tremendous pressure. She snaps or crash out, like y'all trying to say today. It's always something. And she goes to work and she stabs her sister to death. Then you point at her. She's crazy. She's mentally ill. Why? Because they both were suffering from mental illness, because no one was trying to help one another to try to keep their minds together. Where were you, black man? Where were you at? Now, a lot of people may say, and people say all the time, and I have to agree, black women are very difficult to deal with today. Yeah, they are. And this should open up all of our eyes with that perception, which makes us lack an interest of helping this black woman or these black women resolve their issues. So this is your fault too, black. It is. It's all of our faults that this happened. Everyone, black women and black men, you have to take accountability for what happened between these two beautiful sisters. We have to take accountability. We have to be there for one another. If y'all want this sisterhood thing to be beneficial to both, to stop going against one another. And the older women are supposed to be loving and a counsel element to the younger one. And by this woman having daughters at home, it amazes me of how she was not able to have enough compassion for this young lady to demonstrate some type of compassion for her. I don't know the situation entirely, but I'm going to share this with you. Brother Kevin Samuels, they say, now where's he going with this? Brother Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, started talking about it's not good to date women who have children. I understand it. However, I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anyone. I just see things different. I don't have a problem being with a woman who have children. Oh, this dude is a simp. I don't care what you call me. Your words don't move. Okay? And all of this simp and all that stuff. It's time to grow up. It's time to grow up. Because that's a form of supporting a mentality which actually serves as a source of neglect when it comes to children who need male figures in their life. When you come into women who have children who need that male image in it. Some of you are willing to do it, some of you are not, and you have that choice. However, I'm the type of man to where whenever I dated a woman who had kids, those were my kids day one. I dated this very beautiful, her name was Jennifer. She was this beautiful sister. I used to call her my lovely chocolate because she was She was like a dark cherry complexion. The first night we spent the night together, she had called me and she said, "David, what are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm just relaxing. She said, "Well, you need to come and get me." I'm like, "Right now?" She said, "Yeah." So uh, uh, I got in my car, and I would have to admit I was kind of heavy footed driving across town because Jennifer was just drop dead gorgeous. I go and I pick her up. Jennifer had 3 daughters and she had 1 son. I went to pick her up and she's ready to go. And one of her daughters, I believe she was 14 years old. And she said, "Well, Mom, it ain't nothing in here to eat." And Jennifer said, "Well, I'll be back tomorrow. And so y'all be all right." So we go out to the car. I get in the car. And I know that it was the divine telling me, "What type of man are you serious? I put this before you. What are you going to do about it?" So I looked over at her. I'm like, "You know what? I got a question." And she said, "What's that?" I said, "How could you leave knowing that your children are home?" And she said, "Oh, they going to be all right. Come on, let's go." I'm like, "No, come on, let's go upstairs. That's where we go." And she said, "What?" I said, "Come on." I said, "Because uh-uh, our first night together can't be like this." I said, I can't live like this." So I went upstairs. Well, we went upstairs. I don't want to make it seem as though she was waiting in the car because she went upstairs. And so I went upstairs. We went upstairs. And I said, "What do y'all want to eat?" And the young lady said, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm gonna give y'all some money, to order something to eat." She said, "I don't know. We just hungry." I gave her $60. "Here, buy y'all some pizza or whatever." And they was like, "Oh, you don't even know us." They were so thankful. We go down to the car. We get in. Jennifer looks over at me. She says, "You didn't have to do that. Those are not your kids." I said, "Those are my kids." I said, "If I'm with you, those are my children." Now, a whole lot of guys will say, and it's been different times of where men would come over to their baby mama's house. I say the mother of your children's home, who just so happen to have children by other men, but you're just going to bring food simply for your children when you know that there are other children there. Because if your child is hungry, you better believe the rest of them are hungry. So what type of human being are you? You just going to serve yours and not the rest? Those are your children too, because your children share the same blood as those children because they all have the same mother. Now, people may say, "Well, you didn't have children by Jennifer." You're right, I didn't. But I'm a spiritual man. And if I'm going to have dealings with her, I'm going to have dealings with her children. And there was no way in the world that I was going to stand there and see those children go hungry. And I'm sitting and I'm standing there with $857 in my pocket. No, they were not going to go hungry. Not overnight. So the whole thing is, the reason why I bring all that up is The biggest form of abuse to children is the absence of their father figure or their father. Here's a young lady. She's out here struggling, and she's different. She has a landlord trying to take advantage of her because she keeps coming up short on her rent because you got a woman at work who is suffering just the same as her. She's lashing out at the world because she's exhausted because she is trying to take care of her 6 children. So she's lashing out at everybody. And people say, well, she shouldn't do that. Well, it's not personal. It's the effects of not having a man by her side to take some of that weight off of her. Just the same as a young lady not having a male figure in her life to see to it that she's safe from being violated by strange men with mental illness. So you had 2 women who are suffering tremendously. And no one was in their lives to protect them from themselves in order to protect one another from one another. That's the point. This is the importance of men being involved, not only with their children in reference to having a strong relationship with the mother of your children, but this is very important of men involving themselves in women to the degree that young lady wouldn't have been able to call one of her male friends and say, hey, can you come over here and talk to this man and let him know that I have someone in my life that's willing to stand up for me. Where are you, black man? Where are we? Where are we when it comes to our women? We've lost 2 sisters because we were not present. Regardless of this strong and independent thing that black women fell victim to because of the, not only started with the feminist movement, but it developed through time to where this is what we're dealing with right now. And our families are falling apart. And because of our families falling apart, we're falling apart. And this is what this all comes to. I wanted to address this because we have to understand how important it is for us to reason together and look at things objectively to where we won't always point the finger at one or the other. We have to look at the situation objectively and find out how we as a human family can prevent this from transpiring again. That's the point. So I'm speaking on this based upon the human family, and simply because this transpired between 2 black women. This is not a racial thing, because this can transpire in any community, and it has. Because a young lady perceived her as a bully. She's bullying me. And she felt like she couldn't go to anyone in the McDonald's institution to try to deal with the situation in order for her to resolve it. And so she kept being pushed. She kept being pushed by a woman who was in just as much pain and agony as she was. Just similar situations. Wasn't the same situation, but the situations were similar. And it caused an effect on both of them. And this is what you end up with. So I just wanted to address that. I didn't expect this video to be so long, but because I usually don't even cover things like this, but I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that this is getting out. I hope this video gets around so that everybody can see the entire picture instead of half of it or just a little bit of it. So with that being said, everyone, please stay human and everyone look out for one another. Okay? Y'all have a good night. Peace.